Hey, hey. Wow. I think I haven't talked all day. Hey, welcome to CarYada with Raffi and Dan. We're in person again.
Yes, we are.
This is only the second time ever we've been in studio at the same time. We have a new background area here. This is our new digs.
Yeah, you can't see the behind the curtain sort of stuff, but there's a tremendous amount of vehicular magic happening behind the scenes.
I wouldn't call it magic. I'd call it mess. So welcome to the show. We are here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. on the East Coast. And we talk about cars. We talk about buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit, whatever. Repairing, we can talk about if you want to.
Yes.
He knows a little bit about that. We can talk about classic cars. We have a thing called old school. We have car of the week. We have so many things.
Yes. Lots to get to.
And we used to be called Clutch Radio. I forgot already. But now we go by the name CarYada. And during the week, if you'd ever like to reach out to us, you can call 877-CarYada, believe it or not. And it'll tell you to email us at show@CarYada. And we have some comments already coming up, which is amazing. Badshire says, new background.
Yep.
That's correct.
New background.
Let's go.
And we've got behind us, we've got that giant screen so we can tell when we point to things.
Right. We put the monitor. Last show, I wanted to have a monitor behind us with our logo. And I'm like, why don't I make a virtual background? And then I can put the monitor here.
Right.
So when we want to look up at something like comments like Ray, we don't have to be like,
exactly. Or we don't have to do this.
Yeah. So Ray does a nice studio like Kramer's Game Show. Oh, that would have been funny.
I'd have Kramer's Game Show background.
I'm going to get that background for next time. Good morning, yada, yada, yada. Yes, thank you very much, Adam. Jake says, good morning.
There you go. And my favorite today. Did you see Adam's comment?
I hope you're staying warm. It's freaking cold.
It is freaking cold. It was 19 degrees this morning when I went out and got into my car. And my car parked outside. So hopped in the car, turned the key, and it didn't start. I go, okay. Wait a little while. Turned the key, cranked it. It took a little while, but it finally kicked over. And I said, oh, okay, well, it's cold. I'll let it warm up a bit. Warm the car up a bit. Not very much because, generally speaking, if you live in a temperate climate, you don't need to warm your car up. Backed it out the driveway, hit the brake pedal, and the car did not stop at all. The pedal was like a brick. And then it immediately occurred to me, well, that's because the brake fluid is not even warmed up yet. It's thick. It's probably got frozen sections in it. And so the brakes are not complying. And so I waited a little longer and pulled the car up to a flat section, pumped the brakes a couple of times, started to get it going a bit again. And of course, after the car started to warm up even more, the brake fluid was fine and the brakes operated properly. But it's yet another reminder because it is winter. And even if you live in a place that has more of a temperate climate, when temperatures drop below zero, things change in your vehicle. Even if you have an electric car, your vehicle is still relying on fluids to make a lot of things happen, including hydraulic fluid that operates your brake system, power steering fluid that operates your steering rack, and numerous other things that are part of your fluid.
It's a lot of liquid in your car.
There's a lot of liquid in a vehicle. Yes, absolutely. In gas-powered vehicles, stuff will freeze. And so you need to be careful about that. Now, if you park your car in the garage, your garage temperature, if it's not heated, is going to stay probably around 25 to 28 degrees higher than the outside temperature, unless your garage is not fully sealed off. So if it's 25 outside, you're going to be in the 40 to 50 range inside your garage. And that's if it's insulated and has an insulated door. If it's not, then you're going to look at about 15 degree temperature variance. So drops down to where you're in the 0 range or single digits. Your fluids are going to be pretty cold.
My car was my garage was 42 this morning.
Yeah.
And it was like 19 when I left.
Yeah. So there's about a 20, 25, 28 degree temperature variation between outside. If you lose the heat in your home may be better insulated, so you'll have a little bit higher temperature. But it's when it's cold out there, when temperatures drop below 0, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperatures drop below 32 degrees and get down into the 20s and teens. Things get very different quickly.
Yes. And now Adam asks, he says, speaking of warm up your car, has it always been a myth that you need to warm up your car before you pull out of the drive? This is everyday driving.
Yes.
You know, people turn their car on, they let it sit for a few minutes, get it all warmed up. You hear different stories. Like, you don't obviously want to just go and floor it.
Right.
But they also say letting your car run on its own without moving is also not good for it.
So this is left over from the days when we had carbureted cars and even fuel injected cars to some extent, but also with carbureted cars, you would need a little bit of time to let things settle in, to have things warm up, have the system warm up in general, and then put the car in gear and off you go. Modern cars don't require a warm up period. You can do a gradual warm up in your car, as Dan suggested. You don't want to get in your car and start it and immediately plow the accelerator and head up to 50, 60 miles an hour. Give yourself a little bit of time, drive a little more slowly. And as a general reminder, when you pull out of your driveway and out to the main street, test your brakes. Test your brakes, test your steering. Make sure just a couple things are working properly, because we get so used to driving in cars that are modern vehicles that are really reliable. And for most situations, they are. But you want to remember, just test those things out really quickly. Can't hurt to make sure everything's functional. Sometimes what I do is I'll start my car and I'll turn the lights on and I'll just walk around the vehicle and I'll check, make sure all my lights work. That's a little hard to do with your brake lights.
To be there. Oh, wait, they can't see that.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wait,
technical issues. Yeah. Oh,
so that light went out.
Yeah. So you're a little dark, but actually you look
dark.
okay. You look fine.
Maybe I'll do this with the hat.
Oh, there you go. Now you look like at least 10 years younger. There you go. We'll let people write in. Does Dan look 10 years younger with his hat backwards or forwards? There you go.
Yeah, because I saw that Ray, it's not showing up though. Ray had texted me some stuff because we have a car of the week from Ray, which is exciting.
That'll be good.
Also, Jake mentions he got in his truck and the memory foam seat was hard as a brick.
Yes.
So it was remembering what it was like before it was memory foam.
So yes, memory foam does require
a warm ass.
Well, yeah. There you go. That's a nice way of saying it. Yeah. Current temperature is 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Yeah, it's cold, and it's going to continue to be cold. And listen, if it was any kind of precipitation, we'd have a fair amount of snow on the ground now.
I know, the way it was raining the last few weeks.
Yeah,
I was telling my son that yesterday. We drove up to Silverdale yesterday. Had to return a few things at Macy's and pick up my new glasses.
That very nice.
I got new glasses. I got 2 pair, one for comedy.
Oh,
I've got stage glasses.
You got comedy glasses.
Yeah, they're like bigger. They're almost like Morty Seinfeld glasses.
Yes, it's like having different vehicles.
Yes,
you need a car for the beach. You need a car for commuting.
I've got comedy glasses. I've got comedy shoes.
Comedy shoes.
And I have a show a week from tonight.
Yes,
at BPA.
I'll be there.
BPATix.com. You can get your tickets.
So there you go. I'll be in the audience. I might heckle.
Well, we might have you come up.
All right. So this is not weatheryada.com.
No, but freezing rain, crusting everything.
Yes.
That's Dan's down in the Portland area.
Yes, he is. And crusting everything, absolutely. If you have gravel for your driveway, you walk on it, you can hear it crunching underneath. Grass is crunchy. Everything's crunchy out there because it's frozen.
Yeah. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about today.
All right.
One of them was, I think we mentioned last week, we're going to go look at some cars.
Yes.
At a hidden area in a town nearby.
Yeah.
The guy had a garage basically it was an estate sale. It
Yeah.
was his father's collection, but his father had died like 20 years ago.
Right.
Left it to his brother, who
That's
basically
right.
didn't touch it for 20 years.
All sat there.
It just sat there preserved.
Yep.
And then the brother just passed away. So now the other brother is just unloading it all. And he had some amazingly old, I thought really good condition cars, considering they've been sitting in a barn in the middle of a field.
They were in very good condition. And in fact, these are cars that, they were 1915, 1918, 1920, 21. I think the oldest car was maybe...
I think 1912 was that Buick, wasn't it?
I think you're right. So that's 111 years old. That's
112 years old. It's 2024, Raffi.
Yeah, but if it's 1912
or 1911.
Oh, was it 11? I thought it was a 12.
Oh, maybe it was a 12. I mean,
Okay.
We'll go with the 12.
All right. So anyway, it's over 100 years old, which
Even
is
the 12
amazing.
is 112.
Not yet. We're only like 8 days or 9 days into 2024.
Well, when did 12s come out? Well, back then they came out.
They came out
on time.
And
we did buy a few things from there.
Yes.
Because he had a lot of old stuff.
Yeah.
I grabbed, this is kind of interesting. Look at that.
You can see this one too.
These are old NADA guides.
Now,
these are not reprints. These are the actual car guides from back then.
And who knows what NADA stands for?
Put it in the comments.
If you know.
Here's a question that I was going to ask you. Look at that right there. Why is the NRA logo on here?
You're kidding. Wow.
The NRA had something to do with NADA at some point.
How about that?
Now,
do you know what they ended? I believe. Now, this is different from what they call the Blue Book.
Oh, I can tell you all about the Blue Book. That's who I work for.
2 different companies, right?
Yeah, Kelly Blue Book.
Yeah.
Was Kelly Ford.
Yes, that's it.
On Figueroa, right across from where Staples Center is, or whatever, crypto.com state. And the Kelly guy actually had a dealership, and he would print out a list of all of his used car sales on blue paper.
Yeah.
And it became called Kelly's Blue Book.
Now, here, this is for a bit of information, trivia for you folks. Here's a 1928 Nash, which at this time, the year average value, see if you can guess what the average value of a 1928 Nash.
These are from the 30s, right? This is 1934.
Yes, this is 1935, this book.
Okay. So the average value of a Nash,
yes.
I'm going to say $625.
$625.
That's my guess.
That's your guess. $79.
$79.
$79. I don't know if you can see that.
Wait, is that an actual price?
That's an actual price. Average value is $79.
Are you sure that's not the? Oh yeah,
that's
factory price was $12.95 brand new.
Yeah, now you're going to pay $70. Now keep in mind that the Depression had just ended.
Yeah.
So it's 1935. So most cars, I mean, if we look at some of the value of these cars, this can be kind of fun because we could look up.
Put your car value questions in for any car prior to 1935.
We'll find out what it was worth.
We'll look it up. By the way, Adam and Jake both got it correct at the exact same time. Although Adam said it with a question. Jake said it more with authority. National Automobile Dealers Association.
That is correct.
But if somebody can tell me why right there the NRA logo,
that's unbelievable. I didn't even know that. How about that?
How were they involved?
That's a really good question.
So I'm going to pull up a Dodge.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull up the first Dodge because the guy there had a Dodge from 1915. That's the first year the Dodge brothers came out with a car.
That's correct.
And there was one there that was in pretty damn good shape.
Yeah,
I would have bought that if I was in the market.
It may still be there.
That would be an amazing one. Oh, this doesn't go back that far. This only goes back to 1928.
Okay.
But the two-door coupe, brand new, the factory list price was $955.
Yes.
And the current value is $106.
Oh, there you go.
For a 4-cylinder 1928.
Wow.
All right. Dan says maybe the NRA's National Roadster Association.
Well,
but that's definitely, that's the NRA's logo.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
That? Wow.
We do our part.
Well,
I'm going to have to find out why they were on this.
So here's a 1932 Studebaker, and we'll go with the sedan Regal 5. Now, what is that car worth? Now, keep in mind, this is only a 3-year-old car. It doesn't have the price when new, but this is the average value.
Studebaker,
3-year-old car.
3-year-old Studebaker.
Yes.
Studebakers were not luxury cars, but they were not
They were
base
high-end
model.
cars. Absolutely.
They were high end.
Oh, yeah.
Were they up there with Cadillac and or were they kind of like the Buick of the time?
More like a Buick.
$900.
$363.
I'll take 2. I'll take 3.
Why wouldn't you take 2?
Wow. If I could time travel with this guide, this right here.
Yes, and go back and buy vehicles.
This is basically
And what they don't have is
the
a
sports
Duesenberg.
almanac. Where did my sports almanac go? I think I have it over there.
They don't have a
grab
Duesenberg in
it.
here. I wonder why. Well,
I'll be right back.
so he's all right. So while he's gone, Dan bought these books, which are great. They're loads of entertainment. Oh, there you go.
I have the sports almanac.
I bought a collection of vintage spark plugs, and I have not had a chance to go through them, sort them out, and everything. But what I was most intrigued by was many of them came with their original boxes, and these are spark plugs that are 75, 80, 100 years old. So, and they're in sets. So you have a set of 4, you have a set of 6, and you even have some of them have the cardboard collars that protect the end of it from getting damaged or dented in the transit.
One thing I noticed, and this is my inquisitive look, and the lights are grabbing my glasses there.
That's very good.
Spark plugs have not really changed in 100 years.
Well, the basic idea has not changed, but so too with internal combustion. The basic idea of internal combustion, you have a chamber and a cylinder, and it goes up and down, and you have fuel that goes in, air that mixes with it, and then a spark to ignite it. And the explosion pushes the piston down, and then it reciprocates with other pistons, and that creates the total engine operation.
But I mean, the actual spark plug, obviously they've got titanium and uranium, whatever. But they've got all the different types of
uranium,
iridium,
irrelevant.
But when I saw that spark plug set, it's like, well, they still look like spark plug. Like,
well,
the basic design has not really. It still has the ceramic on the top. By the way, that ceramic on the top can shatter a window.
Yes,
that's amazing. That stuff is like crazy. Now Dan wants to know. These are from 35. I can't.
Yeah, so the Cord would have come later, and the 1937 Cord convertible, the one that Dan has picked out, that's a car today. The supercharged 812. That's a car today that would be probably $300,000-$400,000, maybe even more depending on the restoration. So they're very desirable. But back
so here we have some Cord. Let me pull up what we do have.
And Cord, a little bit of trivia for you. If someone asks you what American car was first to be front-wheel drive, the answer would be the Cord. Cord pioneered front-wheel drive, and their cars were very expensive. Eventually, Auburn Company, Cord Company, and Duesenberg merged, and you had Auburn, Cord, Duesenberg for some time. Because during this period, these were very, very expensive vehicles. But when the Great Depression happened, Duesenbergs that were sold for $10,000, which was an astronomical amount of money, all of a sudden were worth hundreds because people couldn't keep them. And that's a big part of what makes Duesenberg so rare today.
Was there a Cord there?
No. There was no Cord
there was one car that I didn't recognize.
There was an Essex.
Oh, the Essex, that's what it was.
Was eventually partnered with Hudson, the Essex Terraplane, which became part of the Hudson Group. And Essex cars were quite spectacular for the time. Most of these cars are, wood-wheeled with the tall tires. The cars, you notice older cars, they sit much higher off the ground because there were very few paved roads back then. So you were trudging through the mud,
and you get a rut,
and you'd the road want a lot of clearance. So you'd
now Dan, the newest one in here is a 1932 And this, by the way, is the
1932
ninth
Accord.
issue ever of the NADA guide.
Ever.
This is the ninth issue.
Okay.
For District 21, which
Ah.
we were here. That was Oregon and Washington.
Okay.
1928 Cabriolet, I'm guessing. It's the Cab 24.
Okay.
The brand new price back then was $24.95.
Yeah, which is a lot of money because back then you could get a used Model T for $15, $25.
So that's new. The 589 was the used car value.
Yeah.
But brand new, $24.95. My dad, I think, bought a Model A. He always told me the story. He bought it for $75, and he and his buddy had it for like a year and sold it for $75.
Yeah.
I remember that story.
You know, in my lifetime, I bought Studebakers for $35. I bought a Studebaker Hawk, a 4-speed 62 Studebaker Hawk for $35. Didn't run, but spent a little time on that getting it fixed up. Actually, we should ask our listeners what's the cheapest car that they bought.
Yeah, what is? Well, okay, this is amazing.
And it had to be a running, driving.
This is the first issue right here.
Oh, there you go.
This is the first issue of NADA.
Wow.
That's got to be worth more than. I mean, I paid, I think, $20 for these three and a clock.
Oh yeah, and you got
a cool clock.
You got a clock over there.
So these are fun to have.
One of the things that's interesting about, especially American car history, is there's a tremendous amount of just general American history buried in the automobile. And what's fascinating is some years ago, I helped craft a curriculum for young people who had not been succeeding in traditional high school educational models, but they liked automobiles. So we moved their curriculum and brought them into the auto shop and built a curriculum around American history, mathematics, science, and English. And everything was predicated on the automobile. So all of the math was engine displacement and figuring out things like that, measurements, fractions, things like that to help them relate a little bit more American history through the automobile. And they're, many of them couldn't even put together an essay, but when they started talking about the car and wrote their essays about automobiles, they were much more capable and comfortable with that subject matter.
And Adam, thank you, Adam. You figured it out. That is not the NRA logo.
Oh.
It is the National Recovery Act.
Oh, okay. That's the Roosevelt Act.
So the NRA, because that does look like their logo.
Yeah, it does.
But I just pulled it up, and there's the logo there.
Ah, okay. The National Recovery Act.
We do that was post Depression.
So that was part of recovering from the Depression, and it was a national effort to.
It's kind of like the Inflation Reduction Act, which is called the IRA, but it's not somewhere
not the Irish Republic Army,
or the way to save money.
Oh, right,
your IRA, your independent
retirement account,
individual retirement
account.
And then you get that Roth guy.
Yes.
Okay, so we asked the question:
David
what was
Lee.
the cheapest car you've ever bought?
Oh, there you go.
Dan bought an '89 Toyota 4x4 pickup for $1,200. That's worth a lot more than that now.
It sure is. If Dan still has that today, you could probably get $5-6 grand for it.
Now, if it was an '85,
those are rare.
Those are the rare. That's the Marty McFly truck. But it also is the only year, I've said this a million times on the show because I used to have one. It's the only year they had the solid front axle, electronic fuel injection, 4x4 extended cab.
Very important.
Only year you could get that. It was '85. So that truck, even if it's not running, is probably $4 or $5 grand at this point. What is your cheapest car ever?
The cheapest car I ever bought was $35. It's a 1962 Studebaker Hawk, and it was a GT Hawk, so it had a 4-speed, and it was white with red interior, red vinyl interior, and the interior was in great shape, but it needed brakes. It needed, I needed to rebuild the carburetor. It took a while to get it all said and done, but I did most of the work myself, and parts were available. It was just an old American car at the time.
$35.
35 bucks.
What year was that?
I'm going to say it was either 79 or 80. As I was still in high school, but I graduated in 79. So
In today's dollars, that's $135.43. It's still a good deal.
Still a good deal. And I sold it. I brought it home and cleaned it up. It was sitting in my driveway at my parents' place. And I cleaned it up. I hadn't even put a fresh set of tires on it. I was going to put a set of tires on it, but I aired it up in order to bring it home, towed it home, cleaned the exterior, and I was washing the interior out because it was really quite dirty. And a guy drove up and said, actually asked me, "Are you going to sell that car?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'll give you $600 for it." And I said, "It doesn't run." I said, "I'm getting it to run." And he said, "I'm going to the bank. I'll be back in 2 hours and I'll pay you $600 cash." And sure enough, he went to the bank. He came back. He had $600 and a trailer attached to his vehicle.
The original Bring a Trailer.
He brought the trailer.
Wow.
And I sold it right. And I'm thinking, well, how much more am I going to get for it? I get $600 in cash. I hadn't even had a chance to put my name in the pink slip. Off it went.
You title flipped. Calling the cops. So the cheapest car I ever bought was $100. $100 from my math. It wasn't my math, or a business teacher. We had a business teacher at the high school who was also assistant athletic director, Darrell. He's since passed away. May he rest in peace. It was a 72 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Oh, the Cutlass.
2-door Cutlass with a Rocket 350.
There you go.
$100.
That's your basic American car.
And today that's $264.82. So still you win, adjusted for inflation. You still did better. And I didn't sell. I sold it to my brother. He never paid me for it. But that car today, if I could find a 72, what's that worth? I mean, that's probably $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh yeah, if it's
running in the condition I bought it in.
Okay, in the same condition, if it's complete and running and drivable.
Yeah, I drove it for a while. It's my daily driver.
$3,500 to $5,000 would not be surprising at all. $5,000 to $7,000 would be if it was nice cosmetically, and if it was really nice, you'd get $11,000 to $13,000 from them. They're still very desirable cars. People want them. Oldsmobile is a long gone brand. They no longer exist.
It's not your father's or your grandfather's Oldsmobile.
No,
nobody's doesn't exist.
And Oldsmobile, believe it or not, was the performance division of General Motors for many years. So they tried lots of really interesting and unique things in their cars, including the Rocket V8, which I believe was one of the first overhead valve V8 engines offered in a car. And I'll have to check my history on that. I know Cadillac and Oldsmobile did it about the same time, but Oldsmobile was the division that tested a lot of technically advanced stuff like automatic transmissions and overhead valve engines, V8 engines.
I believe the 67 Olds Tornado was the first car with airbags.
That
first American car with airbags.
That could be.
We have this Google machine.
Well, and we also have the Tornado front-wheel drive, which I believe, other than the Accord, established front. And it did have the first airbag.
In 73, so I got the year wrong.
73.
Air Cushion Restraint System.
Right.
ACRS, Acres.
And I believe you could order that as an option, but it was like $800-900 option.
What's your wife worth? What's your life worth?
I know what my wife is worth. What's your life worth?
I mean, it's worth $800 to have the airbag.
Sure, 1973. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now standard in every car. So what's the cheapest car you ever bought?
Yeah, we have nobody else commented. Dan's the only one's bought a cheap car, apparently.
Yeah.
Jake, you've had to have bought some cheap cars.
Oh, Jake's bought a bunch of cheap cars. Of them. Jake probably doesn't want to say.
Not your cheapest Corvette. Your cheapest car.
There you go.
Of all cars.
But I've had, I bought $1,300 Mercury Cougar convertible, 1972 convertible. And I bought that in, I want to say 90. No, no, it was earlier than that. It was 87. Jake's, did
Old
Jake pop in?
Bronco.
An old Bronco. There you go. What'd you pay for that Bronco, Jake?
200 right there.
200. All right.
See, we have the screen right there.
Oh, yeah, it's on that side. I'm getting used to it.
There you go. Now, the cheapest Stingray was a $3,500 76 Stingray.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, the late 70s to early 80s Stingrays are getting a lot more attention now in the market. In fact, it's not time to go old school, but I was going to go old school with a Corvette. So I'm prepping you, Jake, to get ready for old school on the Corvette, because got a nice story to go with that.
We will go soon. Now, I have a cheap car I just recently grabbed that I always try to find something for my son. He doesn't want to drive.
He does.
I'm like, what about?
He's in college and he still doesn't want to get his license.
He's got his permit again.
He had to renew his permit. I love that.
We went to renew his permit, and I'm used to the DMV is basically in LA. You have to, when you live in California, you go to the DMV. It's a day trip. Like, you basically have to. Like, I think the Beatles song "Day Tripper" is talking about going to the DMV. I'm not positive about that. Don't quote me on that. But we went to the local DMV. We made an appointment ahead of time, and they didn't have like every time available. And so we made an appointment. We got there early. There's no one in the building when we walk in except the 2 employees. I go to type in. She goes, "You can just come over to window 3." So we go to window 3, and all of a sudden it goes, "Now serving 913 at window 3." And I'm like, "Is that us? 913?" And there's literally nobody there, and we were in and out before we were back in the car. It wasn't even 1 o'clock yet. So the DMV is crazy. But I grabbed this 99 Saab convertible.
That's for sure.
At a charity auction. I just grabbed it. Somebody donated it. And with auction fees and getting it delivered to my mechanic, it was like $1,000.
Not bad.
And it runs and drives. Needed spark plugs, a battery, and tires.
I got spark plugs.
I know you do. They don't fit this. And so it all worked. And I finally showed it yesterday to somebody. And I've got it priced super cheap. I mean, because after all if I can get $2,000, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm in it, I guess. But the guy shows up, and he goes, the door got frozen, so he couldn't put the windows down.
Oh,
he couldn't close the door.
Yeah,
it was like bang, bang. The little mechanism was frozen.
Sure.
There was ice inside the car.
Inside?
Yeah, there was condensation because we've got all these days it was really hot. It was warm.
Yeah, sure.
So there's condensation in the car, and then it froze. So I'm in the car scraping the inside of a car. So it's not for sale for now. I'm just parking it, letting it sit till the spring when I get the roof fixed or something. Now, Adam probably has the cheapest car ever.
Okay.
He got one for free.
Well, yes.
95 Corolla.
So there you go.
Does that count?
Well, for years, a buddy of mine and I, when I was on the East Coast, he lives in Pennsylvania. He's in Evansburg. You would know that because that's from your neck of the woods.
Eastern part, right?
We would get cars for free and then ship them to each other, and they would just arrive at each other's front door. And you go out and go, what is this? And they'd be the tow truck guy goes, "Hey, it's your car. The guy told me to deliver it here." Yeah. It's just rusted Hulk coming off the trailer.
That's a fun game right there.
So I got a 67 AMC Marlin from him. A Marlin, which had so much rust. I actually thought, well, I could fix it. It was so much rust underneath it. I did sell it finally. That was when I got from him. But I got I think it's an 85 Mustang SVO.
Wow.
That had a sunroof in it, but the seal wasn't good, so the interior had gotten water damage. And so he gave that to me, and I ended up taking the entire interior out. I was able to find a complete set of seats, gray leather seats, and carpet. And so I put that in, fresh set of tires, and I sold it to a buddy of mine for $1,500. And
wow.
And the way the game worked was, if we bought a car, or when we got a free car, if we sold it and got cash, we would have to go buy another car.
and then send it back
and
to
then
him.
send it back. So
That's a fun game.
we were escalating.
Look out, Ray Pepper! You're getting a car sent to your house.
There you go.
I'm gonna play that game with Ray.
There you go.
When we went the other day,
Yes.
one of the cars that was there was a '66 Chrysler 300, and
was it a 66? I thought it
was
was
66.
66.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did a bunch of research because I thought, all right, the car's been sitting for 20 plus years.
It was pretty bad.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But the body wasn't bad. The glass was all there, nothing broken.
Yeah.
Nothing cracked.
Interior was complete.
Interior was complete, but taken apart.
Yep.
And I thought the guy was willing to give it away.
Yeah.
But he said his neighbor was interested in it, so he'll give him a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, this, they do these shows. I love watching these shows on YouTube.
Were you?
There's one on Motor Trend now called Roadworthy Rescues.
Yes.
Derek Bieri. He's the guy that does Vice Grip Garage, which I've talked about on here a bunch. And he'll go find a car like that, but usually he finds him sitting in a field in Iowa.
Yes.
And he goes out and gets it running and then drives it 800 miles home to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I love watching that show.
But to be fair, guys that do this have a team of people that are tracking with them. Because
no. When he does these ones, he's completely alone.
He's alone.
Now the Motor Trend show, he's got a production team.
Yeah.
And he always does helpers. Yeah. But when he does these videos, that's why he's got, like 4 million views. And
I just want to jump into my viewers. If you have a notion of doing this, and I've done it many times before, but I do not recommend driving home on a vehicle that has been sitting for a long time. Tires are...
He always replaces the tires.
Oh, he does
always replaces them.
So
yeah,
as long as you do that, you're in good shape, because it is not worth it. Tires are very, very important for your safety, especially if you're going anything over 25, 30 miles an hour. That's 30 miles an hour is fast in any vehicle. So you want to make sure you're stable, and good tires. Tires are cheap. They're part of your braking system. Bad tires will change your brake performance. They're part of your suspension system. It'll change your cornering and safety. So make sure if you do that, that you're prepared and you have a set of tires mounted on the car. And of course, the brakes. Brakes are very important. Make sure they function. And
he always does. First, he checks to see if the engine turns.
Yep.
And a lot of times it doesn't. And so he goes through dumping Miracle Mystery Oil in, and then he'll work on other things, and then he'll slowly get it to brake.
Yep.
Make sure the brakes work. Make sure the coolant system works. Make sure he has lights.
Yeah.
But that's about. He never washes the cars. He drives them home like filthy dirt. He's driving down the road. Never puts a plate on it. Just whatever old plate's on there. I don't know how he doesn't get pulled over all the time. Although I think in one of the episodes he got pulled over and the guy recognized him.
Well, you can get a 3-day op.
Some states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A transit op, they call
But
it.
I recommend the show. It's really, really good. Vice Grip Garage. He's on YouTube. He's got hundreds of these videos.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe if I took like Nick from Greenlight,
Yeah.
and I said, Nick, give me a day. I won't pay your hourly rate, but I'll split all the content value and whatever we make on this.
There you go.
And we would go to this, and get that thing running. And we're only driving like from the neighboring town.
Right.
Over the bridge. That's
Right,
it. We're not driving it.
It might be 10 miles.
But that was I was a really cool looking car.
In an American car, there's not many things that are going to go bad or go wrong. A buddy of mine had a 67 Mustang coupe parked on his property when he moved there. And that was 12 years ago. So the car had been sitting for 12 years, not started, not run, not anything. It was on flat tires. And his wife said she wanted to surprise him as an anniversary gift to get the car running, cleaned up, looking good, and back to... So I said, well, I'll go and help you do that. And sure enough, I brought my tools over and a little bit of gas to prime and get it going. Marvel Mystery Oil, all of that stuff.
It's a marvel.
And within 2 hours, the car, I turned the key, fresh battery, started right up. And so it started, not only started, it's an automatic transmission. I put it in gear and we were able to move it just by airing up the tires. And we got it going, tested the brakes. I did have to add brake fluid to it. Tested the brakes. Brakes were fine enough to take it down to the tire shop. Took it to the tire shop, fresh set of tires. They went through and they had drum brakes on the rear and disc brakes on the front. So we went through the brake system, brought it back home, fresh set of carpet, cleaned up the interior, buffed out the exterior, which was in great shape.
Wow.
Yeah, and put a ribbon on it for him. And then he came home from a business trip, and surprised him, and he couldn't believe it was his car in high school.
Wow.
So it was
See,
a nice.
this car revivals. That's what they call this. There's another guy.
There you go.
Junkyard Digs.
Yeah.
It's another site on YouTube that the guy does a similar thing.
There you go.
Now Ray's bringing us to a whole other thing right now. And wow, we only have 20 minutes left. Question: is this a seasonal thing, or what's up with all the cars in the market? 2,000, man, I'm 1,500 a day. He's talking about the dealer auctions.
Yes.
Auctions are stuffed with cars and market at a standstill. What's with the massive surplus?
That's a good.
I'm actually finding the opposite to be true, and
it could be regional.
It might be for Ray. I know the cars that we're buying for the company I work at, who also owns one of those two auctions. Cars are moving all of a sudden. Like they were at a standstill last month for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This month, dealers are. I mean, maybe he's right though. 2,000 cars sitting at an auction, 3,500 in the market, and they're not selling. I think a lot of people got buried in cars.
Yes,
people are overworked or overstocked. The other issue that's happening. I don't know. Ray actually shared this with me earlier today, and I saw the article earlier in the week. Hertz is getting rid of their electric fleet. They've decided they don't want to sell electric. They don't want to rent electric cars. Too much maintenance.
Who's the football player that was jumping on the sofa on YouTube ads talking about Hertz electric cars? They're going to start running those now.
Was it O.J. Simpson?
No.
Jumping on the sofa, I think of Tom Cruise.
That he was mimicking Tom Cruise, but he was talking about how it's an electric car. I can't believe it. And anyway,
I rented 2 electric cars from Hertz, and both times it was a pain in the ass because you have to get them charged. They want you to return them with at least 80% charge.
Yeah.
And the Tesla is easy because there's a lot of the stations now.
But there are
people sitting there and waiting. And even the other electric cars, there's tons of stations.
Sure.
But people are waiting. You have to sometimes wait an hour or two to get charged up.
Yeah.
It's not a good rental car. And if you go onto the Hertz website, they had them as cheap as $17,000. Now, those are all gone. Mm-hmm. There are some in the mid-20s. You can get a Model 3 or Model Y in the 20s.
Wow.
They might have 80,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
But,
we could have a whole show about the electric car world. I've got a lot of opinions about electric cars, hybrid cars, the value of electric vehicles, the future of electric cars. We can save that for another show.
That can be another show. I am going plug-in hybrid for my next one.
There you go. I think that's a good decision. Dan bids $5 for an used electric Tesla. Sold, Dan. You bought it. All right.
Now I think it's time to go old school.
All right, let's do old school.
Let me bring up our little do thing. We'll be right back. Here's Raffi's old school.
I love that little guy. All right. Today we're going old school. And like we do when we do this segment, we're picking out a car from the old school world. And this time we're going back to 1977, 78, and 79. And this is the series of Corvette that was transitioning from the early 70s cars into the early 80s cars. Now, in this period, and it actually covers a pretty large period of time from the late 70s into the early 80s, General Motors was struggling with how to advance the Corvette into the next generation. And as Corvette collectors will know, there was a huge delay in the release of the 1984 Corvette, which was a huge technological leap for the company. So there was no 1983 model Corvette. So the 82 was the final year of this iteration body style. And by then it had changed quite a bit. But here's what's interesting about this series of cars. The late 70s to early 80s Corvettes have all of a sudden started to sharpen up in the market. Young people are discovering these cars because they're inexpensive, they have a lot of bang for their buck, and they deliver all the style and sportiness of the Corvette period without the enormous cost of the earlier series cars with the big motors and completely different body design. So when you look at these cars, there's not a tremendous amount of visual difference in each ascending year from the mid 70s into the early 80s. But there's some interesting changes that happen. So you've got a lot of vehicles to choose from. Also, if you look at the production numbers, they built a heck of a lot of them. Now, the advantage you have to these cars, if you buy one that needs work, they're inexpensive to get repainted. They're fiberglass body cars. They don't rust on the body surface, but you have to check very carefully to see the underside of the car to make sure that it hasn't been subjected to rust. Nearly all of the interior components in that car will be restorable, and parts and pieces are available through reputable dealers. The wheels are easy to find. The brake system, the power steering system, nearly all of the engine components, all of this stuff are pretty readily available. And because these vehicles tend to be not as highly regarded as some of the earlier ones, their values are very effective for somebody looking to get a unique and inexpensive vintage car. So you can get some of these cars for anywhere between $5,000 and $12,000, which and that price range is going to vary based on your the options and the year of the vehicle. If you get a little too close to the earlier and mid 70s, you're going to pay a little bit more. But you get to the 79, 78, 79, 80, 81 cars, and they'll be much cheaper. Look for one that has the best possible interior. Interiors are the most expensive to restore on these cars. Exterior paint, if it's non-metallic, you can often buff it back out and cut the color just slightly to be able to get new gloss out of it. So they can cosmetically freshen up pretty quickly. And if you're looking for one that is more done and restored and in great shape, you might spend anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 for
Now, I found one on Bring a Trailer
one. Okay.
that sold back in June. Now,
Mhm.
this one's an L82 5-speed.
Okay, so that's a rare combination car.
Yes. Now, this one went for $30,000, which is not crazy in the
Now,
classic car market.
that's also a modified car.
Yes.
So this is a car that's been
Got those things there.
yeah, it's got
headers
side
and
pipes,
side
it's got a
pipes.
hood bulge and things. So now this is not going to be your typical market car. This is a car that's been modified, and somebody's probably paid. But nice looking interior. That's a red interior over black, and the engine looks like it's been nicely done. Probably upgraded with some features. So again, if you're looking for, because you can find on here, if you look on Bring a Trailer, you'll find some $10,000 to $15,000 late series C3 Corvettes. And
Well, what this guy says here is very true. Strong money for a 77.
yes,
But between the interior exterior color change and the nice mods, you could not build a car for anywhere close to the high bid.
it is absolutely right. And if you're looking for a Corvette, and again, you want something that is unique and you're not going to see on the road that frequently, you have to think when the last time was that you saw one of this series Corvette on the road. It's not a car you see that much anymore, and that's because many of them were driven. They were driven into the ground. They were used up and put away, and a lot of them were. And you can see in the price matrix here, you can see how the concentration of pricing is quite dense in the lower values, and that's what you want. You want one that you can buy inexpensively and just drive and enjoy. What caught my attention on this car was just a couple days ago, I spoke with a friend of mine, and his son, for his 18th birthday, his dad chipped in some money, and he and his son went and bought a 1981 Corvette, and they've been having a blast working on it together, fixing it up. Here's one that you just pulled up. Now, what's the price on that?
$11,750.
There you go.
Last month.
So this is exactly what we're talking about. This is 1978, and this is basically a $12,000 car. And it's complete, nice interior, nice exterior, looks largely original, probably well preserved. Look at the original engine, probably original components. Got a little bit of surface rust underneath there, but nothing serious. And where are you going to get a classic car with these kind of looks? Because they are great looking cars.
Yeah.
Um, for $12,000. There's a lot of fun there for 12 grand. And for parents that might be concerned about their kid driving a car like this, these are very actually safe cars. These are cars that, for their day, did quite well in terms of overall vehicle safety. They're not going to have airbags and all the other safety features that you have in a car today. But if what we found is that if you have got a kid that is interested in old cars, they understand that you're not supposed to be driving it like a crazy maniac.
Yeah.
And they tend to be pretty responsible, and they don't want to ruin their investment. They both chipped in $4,500, and they got a nice car for $9 grand.
Now, Jake says 5-speed's not stock.
That's correct.
On that car.
Jake is correct. 5-speed on the Corvette didn't come off.
A lot of value for a cool car, 74 to 82.
Yeah, thank you, Jake.
And
absolutely.
Then Ray says these vets run so rough and loud, not a joy to drive.
Well, and Ray, what you might find is that if you get out and you drive one that's been well maintained and has good factory stock exhaust, they're actually not that bad. Now, do they run rough or ride rough compared to a modern Corvette? Absolutely. You're sitting on the rear axle. They can be a little challenging, but most people get in and drive these cars, and what they're experiencing is a car that needs exhaust, so it's going to be louder. It's a car that needs shocks at the rear, or needs some suspension improvements at the rear. So it feels like it's bogging down a lot more. So properly tuned, properly set up, properly put together, with the right features and proper maintenance, these can be great cars.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, every time you do old school, I suddenly want that car.
Now you want to go buy one.
I mean, it would. I mean, I think I'm too big. Honestly, these cars. Every time I've sat in one, I'm like, it's not comfortable.
Well,
I'm 6'4" with shoes.
Yeah.
By the way, people always say what their height is with shoes.
With shoes.
But they say what their weight is naked.
Naked.
So I want to know what your height, what your weight is with shoes.
What's your weight with shoes?
Practicing material for the show next Saturday, bpatix.com.
There you go. T-tops. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, Jake, of course, has owned more Corvettes probably than I've owned total cars.
Yes, Jake has probably owned, I think he's had 15 Corvettes.
He's at more than 15. Oh, at one point.
Yeah.
I would say overall, he's definitely more than 15.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous car.
Yeah, it's just and they're out there, and if you get a nice one, a nice original one, you can have a lot of fun with them. They're not expensive. The worst thing that could possibly happen with one is that you might have to repair or replace the transmission or the engine. And so you might
had 33.
He had 33 Corvettes. Good for you, Jay.
I have had more cars.
My Corvette hero. We'll have to. That's not more cars than I've had. I don't want to say how many cars I've had.
Look at that. I was going to say, look at that, but you can't see it on the screen because
oh yeah,
it's got the original GM.
Yeah.
AC Delco filter thing.
There you go.
All right. Now I can't pull up Ray's picture. He did have a cool car.
Oh,
but for some reason it's not coming.
It's not coming through.
It's not coming through my text. So I will have to download that later. We'll have to do it some other time.
Okay. But we can do gas prices. We haven't done that.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Let's talk gas again because it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a scroll over here with features on the side, and I got to say it because you just did it. I think you just passed gas.
Wow. Wow.
How much is gas where you live?
All right. Now, you're not allowed to look at the screen as I do this. So
all right. I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking up. I'll look at and I cannot see what's happening. And we're going to guess for the #1 spot for the cheapest gas. And I'm going to go cheapest gas today in the United States is in
Why is that not getting me? Oh, there it is.
Oklahoma.
You think Oklahoma again?
I think Oklahoma for cheapest. Last week, I guess Mississippi, but I'm thinking Oklahoma this week for cheapest unleaded regular gas.
And you are correct. Once again, $2.58 in Oklahoma.
Unbelievable. $2.58.
Yeah, the average right now in the whole country is $3.07.
Wow. And
now, if you adjust that for inflation, if you go back to even 2020, let's look at that real quick.
Yeah. And there's a lot of question as to what's going on with gas prices, because 6 months ago we were well over $4 in many places, and I think California is still over $4. Now we've got some gas taxes here in the state of Washington.
307 is the equivalent of 355.
Okay.
So if you think of that, I mean, gas is actually way cheaper.
Yeah. And, on a car that holds 20 gallons of gas.
Excuse me, I got that backwards. 307 is the equivalent of 266.
Oh, okay.
So back, if gas was 266 in 2020,
right,
it would be 307 today, which is where we are.
Okay.
So inflation alone is the only reason gas is at 307.
Well, and taxes too.
Oh yeah, there's been some new taxes, especially in our state.
Yeah. And so that does change things. Now, what we'll find as we come out of the winter, gas prices will probably start to increase again. That is typical in the cycle. But $3 on average, $3 a gallon is really quite amazing. And what would be interesting to find is just how much private vehicle fuel consumption has gone down over the past 5 years. I don't think it's gone down significantly. I think even though we're seeing savings in fuel consumption and the use of electric cars, I think private fuel consumption is probably flat. And
well, what would make me think fuel consumption might be down a little bit is electric cars have, in the last 3 years, there's a lot more in the market.
That's true.
Crossed 1 million,
but it's only a small portion of the market.
Small, but also the Uber, Lyft. If you take the gas usage from them out, and you look at just what people are putting in, and the number of kids that turned 16 that didn't get their license.
Yes,
like my son. There's a lot of people using Uber and Lyft that are new to the marketplace.
That's true.
But the 402 in today's dollars was 348 in 2020.
Okay.
Now, the other thing I noticed, my son's been home for almost a month. We've gone to Paulsboro a few times. We drive by the gas station. Regular is 360.
360.
And 440 for diesel. It has not moved in a month.
Well, and the spread for diesel against regular fuel seems to be much higher than ever.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, because diesel is a cheaper fuel to refine.
Yeah.
There's some gas stations around my area, Adam Jones says, that are in the 335 to 340 range. I was pretty shocked how low that was. That is low because, it wasn't that long ago. We were paying high $4s to $5. When I was in California in the fall, I first arrived in late August. I paid $5.89 a gallon. And by the time I left California in December, I paid $4.30 or $4.29 a gallon.
Yeah.
So it had dropped quite a bit just in that period of time.
Yeah. And like I said, my next vehicle in September, when I get my next one, will probably be a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
So I will have to go to gas stations again.
Yeah, which you're not going to be going frequently.
No.
Because most plug-in hybrids...
it gets 35 to 40 per charge, and I'll charge it up every night.
Yeah. So you might go once a month to get gas.
Now, Jake says, past gas, CarYada. Great show. Thank you. CarYada.
Thank you, Jake.
CarYada, CarYada.
Well, our job is to entertain you in an automotive world. Keep us in mind if you have questions and you want to ask us about anything related to cars, car sales, car purchases. A lot of people are considering new car purchases at this time. We've got opinions on that, methods for buying, ideas around whether or not you should keep your old car and how long you should keep it after certain miles, and certainly ideas about classic cars and the future of automobiles and automobile use.
Yes. And I just want to give my comedy shows a quick plug.
Quick plug on the comedy coming up.
2 shows coming up.
Yeah.
One at BPA, which is here on Bainbridge Island.
That's the 20th, isn't it?
On the 20th.
Wednesday, I believe.
No, it's a Saturday.
Oh, it's Saturday. Wow. How'd that happen?
Why do we do a Wednesday show?
Who knows?
And then the following week at the Roxy, the historic Roxy Theater in Bremerton. Downtown Bremerton is gorgeous.
It really is.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
This is where we did the screening of the sitcom. And both of these, we will be playing an exclusive, first time ever seen by anybody other than Raffi, you just saw it, trailer for the sitcom. A new trailer for the sitcom.
There you go.
So you get tickets at bpatix.com for the BPA show and roxytix.com for the Roxy show.
All right.
And Adam will be here.
All right.
Next Saturday. A race is buy new, never. Affordable used cars and trucks where your dreams come true in Bremerton.
That's true. Affordable used cars and
in Bremerton.
Absolutely.
It's the name of the dealership.
Yeah.
I mean, their cars have to be affordable.
They have to
in their name.
In the name.
Good guys over there at Affordable.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody next Saturday.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. And we'll be back on Saturday. We'll have some new, and we may even have some new segments. We want to encourage people. We're considering putting a new segment together. So want to put out to you, what was, for our next show, what was your college car? And you still dream about that college car. What kind of nostalgia do you have for it? Do you remember buying it? Do you remember selling it? Any kind of memories of your college car or that period of time after you graduated from high school?
Your 18 to 22 car.
Your 18 to 22 car. There's something about the magic of that car. Whether you went to college or you went to work or you started work or whatever it was that you did, or you went to the military that period, there's something magical about it.
I had an 81 Datsun by Nissan.
Yes.
280Z.
280ZX.
Yeah. Had it all.
Yes. Maybe you had multiple cars too. I had a few. So we'll talk about that in our next show.
And we don't have the ending, so we'll play the Clutch Radio ending still.
All right.
With the old guy.
See ya.